Thank you for joining us to review some of the basic concepts around institutional data access and the responsibilities of our data users. In this video, we are not attempting to convey all information or cover all scenarios. Our goal is to bring forward a broad array of data topics and provide supporting resources where users can find the information they need when they need it. Please bookmark the Companion UMS Data Access and Use informational website provided in this learning module. What do we mean by institutional data? By institutional data, we are referring to all data that is about the institution itself, such as its facilities, its academic programs, its students, and staff, and is either created by the university or given to the university in order to be leveraged and protected. The key components in determining whether data is institutional have to do with its ownership and its purpose for the institution. Institutional data is used for planning, operations, and management of the university. Data that is used by the institution for these purposes but not housed in the university's databases, for example because it is publicly available, is not institutional data. Likewise, data stored in the university databases that is not used for university planning, operations, or management, for example research data, is also not institutional data. These data types have their own handling regulations and are not covered in this video. A great deal of our core institutional data resides in our instance of PeopleSoft, which is called Main Street. There are three main databases: the Campus Solutions Reporting Database housing student data, the Human Resources Production Database housing employee data, and the Financials Database, which houses system financial data. There are many other areas of institutional data, such as athletics and advancement, far too many to list them all here. Access to institutional data is only granted in order for employees to perform job-related responsibilities. As an employee of the university, it is your specific job within the institution that determines which data you will receive access to. Institutional data is to be accessed only for work that has been requested of you and that falls within your job responsibilities. It is your responsibility to ensure that once accessed, you work, store, and dispose of the data in technically secure ways. Requirements and guidelines around safe storage of data, safe platforms for working with data, and safe means of transmitting university data are posted on the Information Security website and are included in the Employee Protection of Data Administrative Practice Letter, as well as your annual compliance training for information security. Because of the large and distributed nature of the University of Maine system, there is no single place where employees can go to request access to all institutional data needed. As a system, we are continuously improving our data access request processes. For access, please start with the Data Access Request website and work with the individuals for your functional area and for your institution listed on the page. They will help you determine which data you need access to and help you acquire that access. The link is available on the UMS Data Access and Use informational website. Institutional data is an asset and, in the event of a data breach, a liability. As such, we must all treat it with care. Your access means your responsibility. The UMS provides many resources for data users. A variety of data tools are available within the data systems, as well as external tools used to extract, process, analyze, and present data. Some of the most commonly used are PeopleSoft Query, used to retrieve data from our PeopleSoft databases, and Power BI, which is used to visualize and analyze data. Check with your supervisor to determine availability of the best tools for your work. Over the past few years, the UMS has begun creating public-facing data documentation, including a data dictionary, an index of reports, and self-guided training resources for UMS data users. These documentation materials are intended to gather and provide information as well as to ensure consistency and accuracy. This documentation is created collaboratively with the oversight of the UMS Data Documentation and Training Coordinator. These web pages provide definitions and sources for institutional data elements, their coding and field values, and the similarities and differences of coding and processes across the institutions within the UMS. To address the inconsistencies in our institutional data, UMS Data Governance was created in 2017 to provide processes and frameworks for guidance on how we work together to identify and solve issues. Data governance works across multiple campuses and functional areas to find ideal data solutions, streamline data processes, and improve data integrity. The quality of our documentation and our data relies on your help. We rely on your willingness to point out inaccurate or incomplete definitions, alert us to data inconsistencies, and indicate areas where the data or the documentation do not fully answer your questions. In short, if you see something, say something. Please send your comments and questions to ums.data.governance@maine.edu. Your expertise is most valuable when it is shared. The UMS expects data users to engage in accurate handling and analysis of data, as well as ethical interpretation of data. While our UMS analyses often take a long time to produce because of data quality issues and inconsistent data handling practices, our data experts routinely take the time to ensure that they understand their data and use analysis techniques that are readily understood. As colleagues who are accessing UMS institutional data, we encourage you to always check your data's unit of analysis and the quality of all data you are using. As you produce reports, whether a simple data table or a complex data dashboard, we look to you to carefully consider causality and to triangulate your findings with other reports or data sets. Finally, we encourage you to provide contextual information that is needed or is advantageous in interpretation. During the academic year 2020-21, we are introducing a method for certifying UMS datasets and reports. This sets a UMS standard for data quality, data validity and reliability, data interpretation, and contextual understanding for reports that is co-created by data experts and functional area subject matter experts. There are several means of publishing data, ranging from ad hoc email attachments and Google shares to formally branded UMS reports. Making decisions about sharing analyses and datasets requires consideration of several aspects. The University of Maine System data classification levels provide guidance on the types of data that can be safely shared with various university constituents, ranging from public data that can be shared with any audience regardless of university affiliation to restricted data that is subject to stringent controls. The framework provides a starting point for how data can be safely shared. Once we determine what data can be shared and with which audiences, we must then think about the context in which the data are analyzed. What questions drove this particular analysis and are hopefully answered by it? Another aspect of content distribution that requires reflection is where we save and how we share our work. For example, the university uses PS Query to extract data out of Main Street, and some queries are assembled and validated by departments who have extensive expertise with that particular data. Other queries are assembled rapidly by one individual and may or may not ever be used for their intended purpose. As data users, we must often ask ourselves if we should make a query, a dataset, or a report created from that dataset public, or keep it in our private library. Finally, when we distribute reports, data, and visualizations, it is important to ask ourselves what the recipients need to know about this data or report, and find the answers to those questions, document them thoroughly, and provide that contextual documentation when distributing the data or report. As a general guideline, it is always a good idea to check with your supervisor before distributing data or reports. In some cases, your supervisor may recommend sending it to a revised audience or wish to send out the data with additional contextual information. Even if your supervisor does not make any changes at all, it is always advisable for them to know the content of your report before it is released. Ultimately, when we publish the right amounts of information to the right audiences with the right contextual information, we're not just practicing responsible data stewardship. We're providing the essential elements to foster a sustainable and strategic culture of data informed decision making, which benefits our students, faculty, staff, and communities through enhanced student success, improved employee engagement, and critical community contributions. Data is an exciting and vital sphere within the university operations. We're pleased to have you on our data team and are here for any questions, concerns, or requests you have while you ensure responsible and strategic access, usage, and distribution of our institutional data.